In 135 BC, a slave named Eunice, along with 400 other slaves, led a revolt in the province of Enna on the island of Sicily, which was under Roman control. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. After the Carthaginians were expelled following the Second Punic War, and Rome took control of the island of Sicily, Roman speculators rushed to buy large tracts of land at reduced prices. Some lands were seized by force from the Sicilians who were loyal to Carthage after they were expelled or killed. The Romans exploited their slaves brutally, providing them with little food and clothing while making them work shackled in iron until they perished. Buying a new slave was less costly than treating an injured one or providing basic necessities for life. During this period, Eunice, a Syrian slave who performed sleight-of-hand tricks and magic shows, was used by his master for entertainment. However, Eunice had a vision that he was a prophet and would become the king of Sicily, believing that the roles between slaves and masters on the island would be reversed. The aristocrats paid no attention to this vision and mocked him. The revolution began when 400 slaves approached Eunice for advice regarding the cruelty they suffered at the hands of their master. Eunice took advantage of the situation, leading his followers to storm the house of their owner, Demophilus, and kill him in a humiliating manner. The female slaves were ordered to kill Demophilus's wife, but they spared his daughter because she had alleviated the suffering of the slaves. They handed her over to the nearest Roman garrison. Following this, they completely took control of the city of Enna and killed all the aristocrats there except for the blacksmiths, whom they forced to work for them to produce weapons. Eunice crowned himself king, taking the name Antiochus, after the kings of the Seleucid Empire in his homeland of Syria. As news of the rebellion spread across the island, a group of 5,000 slaves in the southern coastal region initiated another uprising and took control of the city of Agrigentum under the leadership of Cleon, a former military commander who had become a slave. Cleon also declared himself king. Initially, Rome did not pay much attention to these events, believing that Eunice and Cleon would eventually fight each other over power. However, the opposite occurred. They agreed to make Eunice the king of the rebels and Cleon the commander of the army. The number of rebels swelled to 70,000, including nearly 20,000 fighters. A group of Sicilian militias loyal to Rome, led by Lieutenant Lucius, marched to suppress the rebellion but failed and were defeated. 3 more attempts by the Sicilian garrison followed, but they all failed, thanks to Cleon's leadership and the slaves' passionate desire for freedom. In late 134 BC, the Roman Senate sent a campaign led by Consul Flaccus to put an end to the rebellion, but it ended without success. Then Lucius followed, and this time the results were favorable for Rome. They recaptured Messana and killed 8,000 surrendered slaves, including women and children, and imposed a siege on some coastal cities. The following year, the Roman commander Publius seized the city of Tauromenium, aided by some traitorous slaves. No prisoners were taken, and no mercy was shown. All the slaves were tortured and killed. The road to Enna became easier to traverse, and in an attempt by Cleon, the commander of the slave army, to break the Roman siege, he died from his wounds on the battlefield, giving his life so that he would not remain a slave. For the second time, due to traitors and those of weak spirit within the slave army, Enna, the center of the revolution and the dream of freedom, fell. More than 20,000 slaves were killed and crucified in retaliation. Eunice was captured and died before he could be tried. Though he was not a military leader like his companion Cleon, he was the inspiration behind the revolution and a believer in freedom. The rebellion was completely crushed in 132 BC, but it was the first spark for other uprisings against oppression and enslavement.